Students, we are going to start with the second part of the second half of the chapter that we did yesterday, the third chapter, which is the overcoat. We have done a part of it. Now we are going to start with this part, which we are starting on today, which is 16th of April 2020, right? And I'm going to complete this part today. And before going to the second half of the chapter, let us recapitulate, revise what we have already done. So we started that the story is written by Ruskin Bond, and it's a mysterious story where we read that the speaker was actually going to a party. It was a frosty, cold night, and he felt a little lazy not going to the party because it was a cold night, and since we thought that it's better to lay in the bed with a book with the hot water aside, but since he had promised the Kapadias to attend their party, so he thought it would not be a good gesture from him, it would be impolite of him of not attending the party. So he got ready, dressed up, wore 2-3 layers to keep himself warm, and then he left for the party. And while he has covered half the distance, he saw a beautiful young girl who was around 16 or 17, and she was wearing an old-fashioned dress. Her hairs were long, open to the waist, and she was wearing a pink lavender floxy squint dress. And when they came closer, they both had a talk that they both were going to the party. So the girl accompanied the speaker to the party, and she told that her name is Julie. Her name was Julie, and then they went to the party. So the speaker noticed that she was enjoying the party. She was dancing, she was laughing, she was listening to the music, and then at midnight they both bid goodbye to the host. Who was the host? Kapadia. Yes, and it was which party it was? Christmas. And which month has been talked about? December. Very good. Now they were going back home, and the speaker told the girl Julie that since it's very cold, you don't have the dress is very beautiful, but you will not feel warm in it, so you take my overcoat. And then she was about to leave. Now let us come to the second part. Till now we have read the chapter, understood the chapter. Hope you have also understood the story also. Now let us continue. She did not protest and allowed me to slip my overcoat over the shoulders. She did not protest. Protest means she did not disapprove or complain when he kept his overcoat on the shoulders of Julie, and allowed me to wear my overcoat over her shoulders. So he removed his overcoat and kept his on the shoulder of Julie. Then we started out on the walk home. They started back to their homes. When I did not have to escort her. Escort means accompany her. He did not have to accompany her to her house the whole distance, all her way. At about the spot where we had met, the place where they had met, in the middle of the road they met, remember? So at that spot where they had met, Julie said, there's a shortcut from here. She pointed an arrow, and she said that from here a short distance is there from her to her house, and I'll just scramble up the hillside. Scramble up means using your hands and feet to climb the mountain. See, this is scrambling, using your hands and feet to climb the mountain. Clear? So she said, she pointed to the hill, and she said, I'll go and scramble. Next, do you know it well? I asked. The speaker said, do you know it well? Do you know how to scramble up the hill? It's a very narrow path. Narrow means very less wide path. Oh no, I know every stone on the path. She says, yes, I know the way very nicely, and I use it all the time because I use it daily. And besides, it's nearly bright night. Bright night because the moon was shining. The moonlight was completely shining brightly on the road. So she said, I know the road, and I'll be able to reach my house. Well, keep the coat on. Keep the coat on means don't remove the coat. Wear the coat, do not remove it. The speaker said, then don't remove the coat. I can collect it tomorrow. Collect it tomorrow means I'll take it tomorrow from your residence. I'll come to your home and take it. She hesitated for a moment. She hesitated means pause and decision before saying something. When you want to say something but you are not sure whether I should say it or I should not say it, and you pause. So she hesitated for a moment. For some time she hesitated. Then she smiled and nodded. Nodded means lowering your head or raising your head. Up and down movement of the head. Okay. It indicated that she was saying okay, fine. She then disappeared up the hill. She went to her way home and she disappeared. And I went home alone. Now who's this I? Speaker. Now he went away alone home. The next day. Now the night is over. The next day I walked up to Woldsfern. So he went up to Woldsburn. I crossed a little brook. Now brook is a small stream. What is brook? A small stream. So before reaching her house, he had to cross a brook. Now see what is a brook. This is the brook. Okay, so he had to cross a small stream to reach the house of Julie. Now, and probably got its name. And as far as name, the brook itself, might have, because of that, had got the name as Woldsburn. And entered an open iron gate. Now see the picture in your book. Picture in the book. You can see the iron gate which is open. So he was standing there in front of the open iron gate, but of the house itself. Now he was seeing the house. Little remained. Little remained means maximum part was destroyed, and it was the remains that was left was completely destroyed. A roofless ruin. Roofless ruin means without a roof. The destroyed part that was left there, it did not had a roof. You can see it in the picture also. It did not had a clear roof. Something like this. See, there is no proper roof on the top, right? Now, a pile of stone. Pile of stone is a collective noun. Pile means a heap. So a heap of stones lying one on the other as if the stones were kept only. And a shattered chimney. Shattered means worn out, not used. This is a chimney. Can you see this is a chimney and it's worn out? Shattered chimney. A few Doric pillars. Doric pillars. Doric means it is built in plain old Greek style. Pillars that are built in old Greek style. See, this is Doric pillars. Now you can see the same pillar in your book. See, this pillar and this pillar in your book. These are Doric pillars. Can you see that? 1, 2, 3. Can you see 3 pillars in the picture? Yes. Now, and this area in front, this is veranda. Okay? So he says that he saw a shattered chimney, Doric pillars where there was a veranda that had once stood. That was there once. Now it is all shattered. Had Julie played a joke on me? Now he's saying, had Julie played a trick on me? Has confused me? Played a joke means to play a trick on somebody, to confuse somebody by playing a trick. Or had I found the wrong house? Now he was confused whether Julie played a trick on me, she has befooled me, or this is the wrong house that I have come to. I walked around the hill. Now he was walking across the neighbors, he was checking to the mission house. Now he reached the mission house. Now what is a mission house? It's an organization that is based on Christians' belief, generally for Christians, and it is dedicated to improve the quality of life of the people, poor, vulnerable people. Okay, they aim at improving the lives of the poor people. So he went to the mission house where the Taylors lived. Now the family that lived in the mission house was the Taylors. Okay, and he knocked the door and Mrs. Taylor came out and he asked him, do you know a girl who lives here and her name is Julie? No, I don't think so, she said. Now who's the she? Mrs. Taylor. Mrs. Taylor said, no, I don't think a girl named Julie live over here. Where does she live? Which address do you know about her? At Woldsburn. Woldsburn, again I told you, it's an estate, it's a property in Missouri. I was told that Julie lives in Woldsburn. But the house is just a ruin. But if you see the house, look at the condition of the house, it's a ruin, it's destroyed, spoiled. Nobody has lived at Woldsburn for over 40 years. Now Mrs. Taylor said, for the past 40 years, nobody has lived in Woldsburn. The Mackinnons lived there. Now the family of Mackinnons lived there once upon a time. One of the old families who settled there. So they are one of the families that settled at this particular house. But when the girl died, they left. She stopped. Immediately after saying this, the girl died. She stopped. She did not utter a word and gave him gave me a queer look, and the lady, Mrs. Taylor, gave the speaker a queer, strange look. I think her name was Julie. Now she said, but I remember her name was Julie. So the girl that died 40 years back was Julie. Anyway, when she died, they sold the house. But anyways, when the girl died, the Mackinnon family sold the house and they left and they went away. No one ever lived in it again. And after that, nobody has lived in it. And it fell into decay. And that is why it has got spoiled, destroyed, decomposed. But it could not be the same Julie. But I think you're not looking for the same Julie, you are looking for somebody else. She died of consumption because she died 40 years back and that out of tuberculosis. Consumption is a disease, that is tuberculosis. Okay. There wasn't much you could do about it in those days. In those days, at that time, there was not good treatment and all, so she could not be cured and she died. Her grave is in the cemetery just down the road. Her grave is there in the cemetery. Cemetery means graveyard or burial ground just down the road. So if you go down the road, you could see her grave. I thanked Mrs. Taylor and walked slowly down. So he said, thank you for giving me this information. And then he started walking down the road to the cemetery, to the burial ground, to the graveyard. Not really wanted. He did not want to go, but he did not want to know more about it. But something moved him, something pushed him that even without his desire, he started moving towards the cemetery. It was a small cemetery under the deodars. Deodars, we remember, it's the trees that grows in, the plant that grows in Himalayan region, yes. So it was a small cemetery under the deodars. You could see the eternal snow. Eternal snow means the snow that never stops. Okay, of the Himalayas, standing out against the pristine blue. Pristine means clear and fresh blue of the sky. Something that the image that is being created is this. See, eternal snow of the Himalayas and the pristine blue clear sky. Now, here lay the bones of forgotten empire builders, and there was a graveyard, the cemetery, and he could see the graves of, bones means graves of forgotten, lost, those who have died. Empire builders means person who adds strength to an empire, maybe a king or maybe a powerful person. Soldiers, those who have died, who have died in the name of the country. Merchant, a person who is involved in trade, sale and purchase of goods, right? So there were so many graves in that cemetery. Now, adventurers, people who love taking risks, who are engaged in risky activity. Their wives, their children. So there was huge graveyard with many graves in it. It did not take me long to find Julie's grave. So it did not take him much time to find the grave of Julie. It had a simple headstone. Now what is a headstone? A slab of stone set up at the head of the grave, inscribed with the name of the dead person. Now see, this is a headstone. This, can you see this part? This is the headstone. See the meaning again. A slab of stone set up at the head of the grave. Now this is the grave. It is at the head of the grave with the name of the dead person. It has the name inscription on the stone. It is only written the name of the dead person, sometimes the work that he has done, or the time period from his date of birth to his date of death, with her name clearly outlined. Now the name that was written on the headstone was Julie Mackinnon, 1923 to 1939. That means she was born on 1923, born in the year 1923, and she died in the year 1939. If I calculate her age, she might be 16 years, right? With us one moment. So she was there, but at the other moment, she was there with us, but at the next moment, she has gone to the maker. She has gone to the maker. Who's the maker? God. Gone to her rest. She has completely left this worldly existence, and she has left and gone to the other world. Although many monsoons have swept. Monsoon, the seasonal wind that brings rain also. Okay. Had swept across the cemetery. So as you see the grave of Julie, the monsoon might have come, might have moved the stones or the leaves or the deodar on the grave, but still it looked unaffected. So swept across, swept is the past tense of sweep, which means to move across violently or swiftly. Bearing down the stones, to make something lose their power. So even the stones might have come on the grave, but this grave of Julie still remained unaffected. It was looked as if it's new. Not touch this little tombstone. Not touch this little tombstone. Headstone is also known as tombstone. So basically this is also known as headstone and tombstone. Now, I was turning to leave when I caught a glimpse of something. Now he was about to leave from the graveyard and he saw a glimpse. Glimpse means a sudden catch a sight of. Suddenly see something. Of something familiar. Familiar means something which is well known behind the headstone. Now while behind the headstone he saw that he had seen something which is familiar, that he knows. I walked around to where it lay. So I walked to check to see what was placed behind the headstone. Neatly folded on the grass was my overcoat. So it completely, very nicely, the overcoat was folded and lying behind her headstone. No, thank you note. There was no thank you note on it. But something soft and invisible brushed against my cheek. While he was picking it up, something invisible that he could not see, but brushed against means to pass by and lightly touch someone. When you pass by and lightly touch someone, that is known as brushed against, and it was brushing against his cheek. He could feel that somebody has touched his cheek, and I knew someone was trying to thank me. So he understood that someone was there trying to say thank you to the speaker for his overcoat. Now see, the story, the overcoat does not actually, when we started with the story, it did not look like a ghost story, right? But at the end, at the climax, when we came to know, it was the girl that we came to know that the girl was not actually a real human. She had came from the cemetery. Why? Because she had a dream that was left unfulfilled. To fulfill that dream, she came. Okay, so we might have even heard stories of ghosts in the hill areas, that they come out, and why do they at times move around? Because they might be having some dreams that are not fulfilled. So to fulfill that dream, they come. So same way in the story of Ruskin Bond also, he has some unexpected climax, because we did not expect that the girl would be a ghost. I hope you have understood the chapter. Clear? Thank you.